Here's what Governor Pritzker posted on Friday, moving into a weekend, okay? He said, moving on from our stay-at-home order toward a new normal will require three critical components, okay? It'll require testing, tracing, and treatment. And a little further down, he says, today I want to talk about contact tracing, which is one of the most critical tools we have to reduce our spread rate, speed up our diagnoses, and seek to halt outbreaks before they happen. Now, let's start with the basics. What is contact tracing? And this is what I want you to pay close attention to. It's a system to make sure you get notified if you had contact with someone who is tested positive for COVID-19, so you can do what is necessary to keep you, your family, and your community safe. Now, let's just unpack that piece for just a minute. So it's a system to make sure you get notified if you had contact with someone who is tested positive for COVID-19, okay? So what does that mean, right? That means they have to have a system to track you, track everywhere you go and every person you interact with, okay? That's the first thing. If they're gonna have a system to make sure you get notified if you had contact with someone who's tested positive for COVID-19, they have to have a way to track your every movement and every person you interact with. So that's what they're talking about doing. And they also have to know your medical information. So this means the government not only are they tracking every single person you come in contact with everywhere you go, but they also get to know what your medical records are. They get to know all of that private, sensitive information that we as doctors aren't allowed to share with anybody. If you were to come into my office at Cone Health Institute and we're working on you and you share with me some sensitive health information, or we do testing or something in our office and we find that you're sick or you're not well, I am not legally allowed to say a word to anybody about it. I can't even tell your family without you signing a document saying that I, the doctor, have permission to share that medical information with someone else. Definitely not the government, right? So what this is saying is it's a system to make sure that you get notified if you had contact with someone who's tested positive for COVID-19. That means they're going to track everywhere you go, every person you interact with, and have complete access to your medical information. So let go of who's saying this for a minute. Just think about what that means, and imagine if, and let's say you like this governor. I want you to imagine for a minute that just think of the political leader right now who you can't stand the most, the person who you have the biggest worry about, the person who you would think of as the most tyrannical, most fascist, whatever your word is. Do you want them having this power? Do you want them to be able to track every movement you make, every single person you interact with, and have access to your medical information? Personally, I don't like that. And this is a program I would be very reluctant to participate in. Let's keep going. So he says, in order to move safely back toward normalcy, Illinois, the United States, and frankly, the whole world must contact trace on a never-before-seen scale. So we're talking about not just Illinois now. We're talking about statewide, nationwide, worldwide is what they're looking at, is how they're looking to implement this. So anywhere you go, worldwide, you would be tracked, and every interaction you have with other people would also be tracked. So to do that, Illinois will be building on our existing infrastructure and expertise to shape a massive statewide contact tracing operation, gradually building over the coming weeks and scaling up an army of contact tracers by the hundreds and then thousands. Let's say, thanks for the comment, Ben. But they're talking about an army of hundreds and thousands of people in Illinois alone whose job is to track you and trace you. Based on our current rates of spread, we're looking at a benchmark that could approach 30 workers per 100,000 residents. 30 workers per 100,000 residents. But to be clear, that number can and will diminish if we see greater success in our public health measures like our face covering requirement. Pay attention, guys. Pay attention to what this means. Okay, we're talking complete loss of privacy. They can track anywhere you go, every person you interact with, and have access to your medical information. And what they've said here is when someone tests positive for COVID-19, a contact tracer will reach out to them through an app, email, text, or phone call. And because not everybody can or will use this technology, some will require follow-up with a safe in-person visit. So we're talking government coming to your door. We're talking people actually coming to your home, okay? Hey, Benny, thanks for saying hello. So we're talking about the government actually coming to your home now, okay? So like I said, take these words away from JB, put them in any politician's mouth, okay? Because eventually JB is not going to be in office anymore. either he's not going to be reelected or his term ends. Now someone else is in office. And do you want someone who's much more draconian, much more whatever, having this ability to track and trace every single person you interact with? It's a massive government overreach.